Let's give the people what they want, Brad. Come on. What are you doing, buddy? Roll over in that hammock, man. Put out that
I'm
blunt.
gonna let
Put
you
down the
run this.
margarita. Yeah, you're garbling, dude. Hey, hey, Shizzy. Shizzy wants to see some fist fights flying today. I hate to tell him it's going to be about 5:30 at the Lido Deck Happy Hour with Senior Brad sparring poolside for all the guests.
What's up,
Doing
Joe?
his best raging bull impersonation. Oh, not much, man. Just kind of, its weather is so nice today. I mean, it's just
It
gorgeous
is.
out
It's
there.
beautiful.
Went out to get
It's
my car
beautiful.
renewal registration renewed this morning. I just drive. I drive down to Pinecrest and do it. I mean, literally at Cityland, you just walk right in and you're out in like 3 minutes. And they just tags and
Where?
stuff like that. I mean, it keeps you out of the city stuff. But I did that this morning, so I'm feeling super productive already. Uh-oh. I think that we're going to have to deal with Brad, living the Dolce Vita out there, Mr. Permanent Vacation. We're going to have to get him a satellite phone or some way to hook into Starlink because his cruise ship Wi-Fi sucks. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to do a monologue today.
Yeah, it does. They
right,
haven't.
let me. Yeah, I hope you guys are hearing them because I'm not.
Are we better now?
Actually, you're less jerky on the video, but yeah, much better, much better.
Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully this AT&T International Day Pass isn't going to charge.
As soon as he says it, he gets dropped. Well, look, guys. I mean, what have I been doing lately? Oh, I'm messing around on GMX, checking that out. So, yeah, amen. Exactly. They rugged the whole cruise ship. Brad rugged us. The cruise ship's gone.
Cruise ship's gone. Wait, can you see me?
Yeah. Go
All
to
right.
audio if you want, buddy. Just go. Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty.
NASA.
Oh, is that
That's
is that Atlantis?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Atlantis back there. That's nice.
What are all those girls doing jumping off the back of the ship, swimming back to shore?
All right, let's see how long this lasts, Joe. What's going on?
I thought I saw SBF out there. Did you see SBF?
He just went past.
Did you throw him that ledger for us?
No, I threw him off the fucking balcony.
Oh, damn. You got to empty his wallet first. Come on, man. Got to sanction him. You got to tax him.
Oh, I already emptied the wallet. I'm just not sharing.
Oh, come on. It's a DeFi Lunch wallet. You're right, Eamon. He did rug us. No, I thought the interesting news, the USDC pulling the IPO. I mean, doesn't seem like the market's right for it, obviously, just from a,
Hold on, I got that. Where is that? I got that.
Looking clear as sight. But, I mean, I don't know if they were doing a transaction since it was a SPAC. I guess it had a clock on it that it required some kind of SEC qualification within a certain time window. And, they didn't do it. So
yeah, they didn't get it done in time. And, it's kind of pitiful if you think about it. But they did announce it was $247 million in revenue and their first profitable quarter. So that's good for them, I guess. If you
Nebulous,
stablecoin.
I will jump into some of that stuff if we lose Brad again in detail. That'll be my riff. But, I thought it was kind of funny with Circle. I mean, here you go, blacklisting wallets. It's the, preferred regulated stablecoin from the U.S. perspective, the U.S. regulatory perspective. And yet they still can't get an IPO approved. I mean, something doesn't seem right there. I don't know what it is, but something just doesn't, unless they just pulled it because of market conditions and are using that as an excuse to pull it. But I think just announcing you pulled it is enough right now. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't see a
absolutely.
lot of addition, trade fi institutional looking at this going, oh yeah, now's the time to jump into, stable coins. Um, I don't see it. There's so many other more exciting things to put money into.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me okay, buddy?
Yeah, yeah, you're doing
Okay.
fine. I'll fill the gaps when I see
Yeah,
you get.
Eamon said, wait, Circle never actually went publicly traded. No, they were doing a merge or a SPAC, or it's called a
Mm-hmm.
D-SPAC. I don't know what the fuck that means, but anyway, essentially a merger with another company into a public company, I guess. And as Joe said, they couldn't get the regulatory done in time, the documentation, everything that was wanted. Now, I have to assume that part of that is that they got to have an audit of all this cash, and I still haven't seen a public audit of how much of the backing for the token. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But they have the certified, yes, they have all the money thing, but who knows? Who knows?
I just don't. After what Sean was talking about on Friday with Collider and those like perp driven stables, essentially, I mean, to me, it seems like that's where it's going to go. I don't know about the USDC and Tether and things like that anymore, just because they don't really make sense. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, don't you really just want something like if that's what you want to go to de-risk out of crypto into a stable, wouldn't you really want some official central bank stable coin if that's your thing? Where you would get the backing of the government,
Yeah.
that whichever one you're using. I mean, I think that's maybe if you're going to be that type of a person. I mean, if that's your strategy or that makes you comfortable, I think it goes there. I think for what we do, I think you know, with some real world backing, I tend to like those ones that are sort of, never change.
Yeah.
If it goes up or down. I mean, that to me, I'm sure there's a way to game it. I'm sure some enterprising crypto person will figure out how to game it in the first go around. But um, it seems pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, even if it was just they couldn't get it done, or they just decided not to go public because the market sucks right now. Either way, I, I don't think the world needs Circle. I mean, obviously DeFi needs it right fucking now because that's the predominant DeFi stablecoin. But I'd love to see that shifting away. Speaking of some related news to that, it looks like Alchemix has approved. Do you see that graphic over, Joe?
Yeah, addition of
Okay.
Frax as ALUSD collateral. Yes.
Yeah, so I was excited to see that. I didn't even know the snapshot vote was going on, but
Yeah.
looks like it was approved, and that's exciting news to me. I would love to see really tight integration between Alchemix and Frax, and Frax is building out so many fucking pieces of the DeFi ecosystem themselves internally that I don't know if there's even a possibility of some kind of merger or acquisition here, but I definitely think that the two of them working as tightly together as possible is going to be very good for Alchemix, and I think it'll also be good for Frax. I think it could be a really awesome driver for Frax having these self-repaying loans built in. And the other part of that is now that Frax has all these mechanisms for liquidity and lending and everything else, there's the opportunity for yield for Alchemix, right, from the shit that Frax is doing. So rather than these 25-year or 50-year payoffs on these loans, there's a very good chance that Frax may be able to provide something a little more aggressive, but still feeling fairly safe that people can utilize as the yield for the loan paybacks. So I don't know all the details of what's going on with that, but I'm excited to see those two integrations because those are two of my favorites. The big problem I have with Frax right now is, they still have a massive dependency on USDC, like massive. So, and look, I think that's going to take time for them to get out of that dependency, but it does bother me, and I am concerned about it. So,
Well, look,
Niblets,
Oh, so go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just on that theme. You can say niblets. I'll come in after that. Go ahead.
Niblets just said unclear on stable value prop for investment guarantees. Investment vehicles are paying higher rates, some 7% here, than most stable staking and without the
Yeah.
risk. Yeah,
Look, there's something. I mean, obviously, with interest rates up, a lot of just regular old bank deposit accounts. are paying higher yields.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, to me, back to what we were saying before with Alchemix, I mean, look, self-paying back loans is something that's going to be, you know, in this market, people are going to have a hard time hearing that with a straight face in the, trade fi space because they're so indoctrinated at this point in a lot of ways. But there's something there, and just like you can, sell chunks of future revenue. To me, I'm thinking that those loans have a value to them too. Because it's the payback amount, that's coming back from, Alchemix. So I'm thinking there's a way for treasuries to come in, do what we talk about at Alchemix, drop it in there, get your 50% or 70% back, lock your hedge in. But then I think there's an underlying value of that loan more as an asset than a loan that you can then fractionalize or factor or do different things. I mean, I see it as being part of a multi-basket composite treasury of different instruments, like, the Collider type perp stuff, the Olympus type bonding stuff, the Alchemix type loan stuff, and then some real world assets. I think that, there's probably a model out there where you could trade the, or an ability like these Alchemix loans against something else in the treasury in ways that will allow market pricing to set in, almost like in perps, like what Sean was talking about, where you have the shorts and the longs simultaneously, and that value never really changes no matter wherever the price goes. That kind of product too. It seems like if we want DeFi and de-risk DeFi, i.e. where the value of something isn't specifically tied to only one token. One token is a target set, basically. How do I break that token? How do I break the protocol? But if you have 5 or 6 different instruments in there of different types, it's going to be much harder to take out and game it and loot a treasury or, create a way to take advantage of the system, which everybody will do or try. But it seems to me that there's something there with Alchemix that's much bigger than what they currently think they have. And I'm just dying for some super genius financial engineering type person to bring that into a product, where you would buy pieces of other firms, notes to shore up your treasury that gives them cash flow. I mean, there's something there that is going to be a huge instrument that I think is going to come out as one of the big success stories here.
Yeah, look, I mean, me, I'm always advocating on use case implementations, and look, I talk to Scoopy on a pretty regular basis, and one of the things I'd really like to see more of happening from the community are building out the actual use cases, right? Things that make it easy to implement, free philanthropy, risk-free VC investing, build a fund, angel investing, risk-free, getting it out to market, getting it out as products, right? It can't just be this big platform that people come in and go, oh, okay, now how do I figure this out, right? I want to buy a Tesla. How do I get it, with a self-repaying loan? You need to package that up and you need to integrate it with the existing auto dealer financial systems, right? I mean, that's the kind of shit that Alchemix can do. And then the beauty of this is that if you build out this series of products, now there are more revenue streams, right? You can do origination fees, you can do whatever for these product lines that are going out to individual vertical markets, and you're offering to these folks that can provide more revenue to Alchemix, that can provide greater yield to people that are doing self-repaying. So I think there's a ton of potential locked in there that just hasn't been realized yet.
Here's one for you. So I think it was Shizzy who introduced us to Hive Mapper, right? Now there's a front end acquisition cost of the camera, I think, which is a couple $100. So here's one. Alchemix finances camera acquisition for Hive Mapper community members. They come in and put their shit in, they take their loan out, they buy their Hive Mapper, Alchemix pays it back. I mean, there's an amortization table to be built there that's pretty simple. But what does Alchemix then get? They almost become like the banker then for
That's right.
whomever's driving the Hive Mapper. And if I remember right, a lot of the people on Hive Mapper are in Southeast Asia. I want to say like Vietnam and Philippines and Thailand and places like that. So, you know, I don't know how deep Alchemix's market penetration is in Southeast Asia. I would dare to say probably not the highest, not like, you know, US or Europe or something like that. So, bang, you know, now you are the bank for those people.
Right. Right.
And they're unbanked. So now you have their access into crypto. So a wallet partnership with somebody or whatever, and you know, ALUSD is a stable in the wallets, and then you know the loans running. I mean, that's the kind of partnerships they should be doing because I think it does best in microfinance. I know we always say the Tesla example or college education, which is you know awesome, but in practical measures, if Alchemix is going to play the long game, you know, we're not it. You know, we're like, you know, the near term game. The long game is growing another 2 billion people as customers.
Absolutely.
Okay. And putting them in. So there's so many opportunities here. And they don't get, it's like Geist, you know, I keep watching Geist and, you know, I'm like, well, this is just no governance and it's just, you know, vaults and people either come out early on a vest and pay a fee or they stay and wait. And it's some liquidity farming. That's it. And there's no humans making decisions. So to me, you know, and then Trello, you know, the decentralized pricing oracles, all of these things fit into this DeFi, what, 4.0, 2.4, whatever we're doing here, that make it more stable. So, well, I might have lost Brad. So that's the kind of things that's what I really like about Alchemix. And I just don't think we need all the circles and tethers and all of that, you know, at this point. So, well, gosh, I was hoping Brad would come back and rebut me. Oh, good. Shizzy's got, yeah, the Hive Mapper, buddy, is $560, Brad.
Wow. All right.
And Shizzy's got his ordered.
Nice.
Order it in June. So, but anything like that. You could have a setup with the Trello decentralized pricing oracles. I mean, or mining. People want to set up mining operations, you know, finance it through Alchemix. I mean, that's what you're really doing. I mean, that's a brilliant one, actually, because you could buy the gear, you can in the US, you can instantly depreciate it, Section 179, I think, so get a full tax deduction for this year, and then be able to use that instrument in other tax advantageous ways to scale up mining. I mean, there's so many ways Alchemix can play, and you're absolutely right. It's not just the surface level thing. Chuck saying, Chuck Schotten, problem with targeting unbanked is that Alchemix loans you part of what you already have. If you're unbanked, you probably aren't loaning to yourself for liquidity. Yeah, that's probably right. I was thinking, Chuck, that if someone wanted to, a way to, like, say, acquire a piece of tech, like these Hive Mappers for 560, that, you know, that might be a way to finance it. So, you know, we have to see how that would play out, the nuts and bolts of it. But I still think you would get people interested, or maybe Alchemix somehow front end finances the actual staked amount. You know, maybe they lend 560 in crypto, so you can then, or whatever amount, and you're going to turn around and stake it, and they pay the back, and they take the interest payment out of the payback amount. There you go, Alchemix Scoopy. There's your $1 billion idea.
Right.
And so the users don't pay interest on it, and then they have the cash back, and they have the Hive Mapper. I mean, I don't know. Sounds like pretty interesting finance to me.
Speaking of tax losses, one of the tax software companies came up with a brilliant idea, and that is they created a smart contract that will automatically buy all of your shitty NFTs for like 0.00000001 NFT. I mean ETH, and then you can tax loss harvest. So you can take all of the ones that you know are never going to recover before, go to this site, send them all of your NFTs, and they will generate the tax document for you and give you, some little tiny amount of money, but now you've got the tax write-off because of everything you've lost on the NFTs you bought.
Look, I like it. I mean, it's you got to have the gains to be able to offset. Use those losses to offset, because I think that's going
Sure.
to be in the capital loss section, if I'm not mistaken. But look, it's the same for any of these tokens you're holding that are 99% down.
Yeah.
We're coming up to the end of the year. To me, I think, and now again, I know there's no prohibition on, there's no, again, not advice of any kind. But I don't think that wash trading is a problem in crypto yet. I don't think
Right.
it's strictly prohibited. If it is, maybe you just hold out, stay for 30 days, because that's, I think, the equities wash trading rule. But look, if you're down 99%, or maybe you bought Bitcoin at 65 grand, sell it.
Yep.
And then rebuy it. I mean,
Yeah.
why not take the loss?
The nice thing that these guys solve is the liquidity problem, right? You can't sell your shitty NFTs. There's nobody to buy them, right? But they facilitate the transaction, so you have a record of the transaction and you have a record of the overall loss. So if you've made money elsewhere, this may be a great way to offset and get rid of all those other NFTs. From my perspective, these guys are brilliant, because think about it this way. They get publicity for their tax software, right? It's going to be on the thing you download. You're going to be connected to them, et cetera, et cetera. And they're going to have thousands of shitty NFTs, but there's probably going to be a few gems that come up in the mix, right? And that a year or two from now actually end up having some value, or the project resuscitates and builds something around the NFT or whatever. So I love this concept. I thought it was brilliant, and I want to make sure everybody heard that, hey, you got that wallet full of shitty NFTs you're never going to do anything with, and you don't like the art. You don't have them for the art. You had them because you were trying to make money. This is a great way to recover some of that value. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, and you're right. It's a great, it's kind of, I love those bottom feeder strategies where you just come in with capital when everybody's decimated and capitulating and just buy it all.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You're right. It is going to come back, and there are going to be some pearls in there. But I also like the fact that what you said, look, this is a simple thing. You just send it all to them, and they send you a piece of paper or whatever, a form that you attach to your returns. I mean, that's brilliant. Just, spread it out so you get it across multiple years if you want. And think about it also for, again, back to your regular tokens where you're down. If you're going to deploy this strategy here, think about it in other stuff too, because it's a sound strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Back on the Alchemix thing, Chuck did say maybe bag holders stake into a microloan pool via Alchemix and not the borrowers.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too, because you could go after, I mean, what would be really cool is if you could set up that pool as a separate, 501c3 type entity, as a official nonprofit. And then people could donate money to the pool, altruistically, and then use that pool, like you said, Chuck, to finance all the little tech acquisitions for the other communities. That could make a lot of sense.
Absolutely. The guys at DeFi Llama are back at it. There were like 3 or 4 releases over the last 4 or 5 days, but this thing I think is extremely useful. In their yield section, they've added a 30-day average APY column. So you can see how consistently a particular yield is holding up over time, which I really liked. They also published a guide to what I think they termed it like the least used and most, something like the least used and highest potential earning functionality of the whole platform. So, and I got to tell you, I tweeted this the other day. These guys are building everything. They're building a media company. They're building a node company. They are building out this system. We're going to turn around next year and they're going to own a big chunk of DeFi, because they're going to end up being the platform that guides in, and they're smart. They're building everything out for free, making it easy for everybody to get up and running. And then they're going to turn around and have a ton of shit. So really interesting. So
yeah, no, they are killing it. You're right. They are.
I really like this guy. I like Mark Yusko a lot. right? Morgan Creek Capital. We talked to him about it a little bit last week. Um, and he's brilliant, and he knows the markets, and I like everything he does. I met him last week at the show I was at, but he is so onto this whole fucking conspiracy theory. Basically, his conspiracy is that Gensler, the SEC, the wealthy liberal elites, and Sam's parents set him up so that they could take down all of crypto by taking out FTX. And
first of all, I don't see how they've taken out all the crypto.
They haven't, and they can't, and it's stupid.
He's just pissed because he lost friggin' money, and he's embarrassed.
Exactly.
The conspiracy. This is like another one. All right. Yeah. So I could just layer a bunch of shit together here and call it something, but I just don't even want to give it that kind of traction. But it's just nuts. And
he's just losing it. It's like, dude, there's so much more to talk about. Why the fuck? Every time I hear him on a show, he's talking about this theory that he has that. I mean, Sam's parents. Do you really think Sam's parents set him up for legal jeopardy just to destroy crypto? I mean, come on, dude.
What are his parents professors in?
Yeah, law and finance, economics, and it's just stupid.
Nah. I mean, I sort of feel like people like SBF. I mean, even like Elon types too. I mean, a lot of you see all the celebrities. You get trapped by the machine sometimes.
Of course.
And those investors have a lot of friggin' power, and it's not always good power. So I could see how you can get trapped in that. And big money never wants to put its head in the chopping block. No. It's looking for people like this to stand up and go off on the crusade. And then, we're with you, until you're not, we're not,
Exactly.
And at that point, then that's why you need your lawyer money and shit. And you better not have stolen their money. So I think that happens sometimes. And that's why people like young entrepreneurs, like the big investment houses, and they say it's because they want people who will do anything to survive, which is true. And that they'll come back for the next round and the next round and the next round and the next deal and next deal, and do 5 deals with that fund. But, they're going to throw you under the boat if you don't perform for those funds. And you're the one who goes to jail. They don't.
Exactly.
So always I'm not saying it's the wrong way to go. I'm just saying always understand everybody's interests. Their interests are for you to make them a bunch of money and they don't have to do anything.
Right.
And if you cut corners and things like that, they're never going to say, oh my God, they're going to be like, how much did we make? But then in the end, if you get in trouble, they're going to be like, oh my God, you were doing that, while they're spending all the money. I mean, it's just human nature. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's just human nature, okay?
Absolutely.
And so I'm not saying there's not some big conspiracy out there looking for people to create these opportunities to destroy crypto. It's not that. It's just people make money. And, think Middle Ages. It's like knights. There's kings and there's knights. And then there's people that want to be knights. So who does all the dirty work? The people that want to be knights.
Yeah.
So at this point, go ahead.
It's Occam's razor. It's like, what's the simplest explanation? Greed and mismanagement. That's the simplest explanation. This other shit is just stupid. Anyway, speaking of greed, Fat Man Terra.
Euphoric says we're the Illuminati.
Fat Man, we're trying to hide it. Fat Man, we're trying to keep the lid on it.
Joey Medici here.
Fat Man Terra tweeted a thread this week that he's identified that the Terra Foundation actually caused the entire UST depeg by dumping $450 million worth of UST on the open market 4 days after that last sale is when UST started collapsing. That entity that did it, none other than Terraform Labs. So I'm going to have this link in the show notes because it's a really interesting analysis. And he's a little over the top sometimes. And obviously, I think he lost money in this whole thing because he has Terra in his Twitter handle. But he seems to have had found the smoking gun of Do Kwon and the Terra Foundation doing this. So
there was some other stuff before that even. There was somebody wrote, maybe it was Jarvis Labs wrote up the stuff on Terra talking about December of 2020. and how I think the point I was trying to make is that, they kind of created the inflated UST and El Luna product or whatever. Um, they created the value by pumping it up, and they took it
Exactly.
away by dumping it.
Exactly.
I mean, guys, this is what we warn against all the time.
Yep.
This is, you know, it's the pumpers basically. I mean, these are the Ponzi. So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a Ponzi scheme. I'm just saying that anytime there's an influencer shilling something super hard, they're also going to be the ones that are going to be the first one out the door.
Absolutely, because they're going to
So
dump on
just,
the people that they told to buy it. Exactly.
yeah, as you said the other day, if you can't figure out where the yield's coming from, you are the yield, basically. So, make sure you understand: are you the exit liquidity, or is it the next guy down the road?
Yeah.
Because this isn't
Niblet,
an S&P index fund. This is crypto.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Niblet says Occam's razor agrees. This guy is coping hard. Back on Yusko. I agree, dude. Totally agree. Kramer's calling the bottom for crypto. So again,
Oh wait,
Kramer
no, he
says
says still dump. He's to still sell, right?
yeah, that's my point. It's you always do. It's the do the
Opposite
opposite
of
of
Kramer.
what Kramer said. Yeah. It's the Kramer indicator.
Or sell it for your tax bits, guys. Sell it like he says and buy it back.
Well, look, he's trying to cover his ass because he's the one that recommended FTX on air. He's the one.
That's right.
Yeah, he's in the liability department right now, and he's nervous because influencers are getting sued, and Jim Cramer's next on the list. So he's trying to show how he's learned his lesson, I guess. Who fucking knows? So, in comparison to Phantom Foundation. The Sushi Swap's new chief, Jared. What's Jared's last name? I've forgotten.
Gray. Jared.
Yeah, Jared Gray says they've only got a 1.5 years of runway at Sushi.
Sounds like it's time to do a money raise, dude.
Yeah.
I'd go out and do an accredited U.S. investor raise. Just see if you can get it done with a big financial house. But it's not going to be, you ain't going in at $1 billion valuation. I'm going to just warn you up front.
No.
If you're going to try to make this conforming, what's the runway at Phantom Foundation?
30 years.
Okay. Well, there's your comp. Now, again, Sushi Swap's a protocol, and Phantom's layer one.
Yeah, but looks to me like an acquisition target. Sushi.
Yeah, and they're on aren't they already on 15 layer ones?
Every fucking chain. Yeah, I mean not every, but
it's a great buy.
It's a great buy.
For anyone like a BlackRock, Blackstone, Goldman, pick one of these financial houses that wants to get into DeFi and have a reliable protocol. I think it's a great deal for them because they don't know how to do this shit. And if you've got a drop down one across all the chains, that's pretty beautiful.
Right. And I think if you're an institutional buying it, though, you're not buying it for the existing DeFi folks. You're buying it so you can be the controlling interest of DeFi into the rest of institutional, right? Because most DeFi users, if BlackRock buys it, probably aren't going to use it very much unless it somehow remains, semi-decentralized, which they may do. They may say, yeah, cool. That's we just want the engine.
Yeah. Exactly. But then as soon as I said that, I was thinking, God, there's great engines at Spirit Swap. There's great engines at Crystal. There's engines all over the place. And, I think Mr. Muccioli was talking about DCG, credit default swaps, and, shorting coin or buying coin debt like we talked about before as a BTC play. I mean, look, Coinbase, what I'm getting at is Coinbase is there too. And so, maybe if I'm BlackRock or one of those guys, I go buy Coinbase versus Sushi Swap as an easier one. But you're right.
But if I'm Coinbase, I go buy Sushi Swap.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And try to layer it into however you're regulatorily complying, somehow fit it into that model, which is going to be a challenge.
Or buy up a Bahamian entity that just recently went under and layer it in.
Hold on. Number one on my speed dial. Number 57,000 in your hearts.
Dylan says Kramer is nothing if not consistent. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
he absolutely is consistently wrong.
I remember
Let's
him
see. Did I
from
already do this one?
way back in the
Okay.
day when he would do that lunchtime thing on, CNBC. And, everybody was trading off of what he said, but there was no internet really at that point or nothing
Right.
functional. So it became like kind of like the most cutting edge info, let's say, for retail. And that lunch Kramer effect lasted for a while till all of a sudden everybody on the street was like, well, fuck this shit. Let's buy it first, before
Let's
he talks
let's
about what
let's
he's
trade
liking.
against him and dump on him. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, the guy
What's
the guys at Ledger are releasing a really cool new wallet, and they hired the original Apple engineer of the iPod, designer of the iPod, and so it looks really nice. Wait, what did
Oh no,
Andy say?
I was waiting. I was going to talk about this. I was waiting for you to finish. That's all. I didn't want to distract you.
Oh, okay. Let me show you another image of this wallet, though. Completely customizable interface. It's like $279, but it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. So very iPhone-esque in overall design. But the front screen you could completely customize images of NFTs, tokens you're interested in, whatever. So
So
this
it's
is
just a crypto device.
totally a crypto
I
wallet.
love it. Dude, I was thinking about that. I was taking some of my old phones. I have a couple of those laying around and just turning into a wallet, like a Wi-Fi device with a full VPN on it and just
Right?
run it as crypto only, but only over, Wi-Fi networks or hotspots on my phone or whatever. Just to kind of keep it away from everything else. And I'm intrigued that now, because you don't really want it. Well, I mean, if you got it on your smartphone, everybody knows you got it on your smartphone. Okay. You know,
That's true.
so I mean, I'm not talking about governments. I mean, not ours, but other countries.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's something you'd be very concerned about. But
absolutely.
I'm more talking about predators, and people that come in to try to, steal your stack, basically.
Right.
I see this as being pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you think
No, I really
of a
like it.
device?
The
Yeah.
device is called Stacks, STAX. It's got a nice design. This is a really smart move on their part. I mean, just really smart move to create something new, something that looks cool, something that has a big screen. Their old devices had those pain in the ass little tiny screens on them. You had to arrow through shit. This is a really smart move. I do like the idea though of like if somebody created something that lets you lock up an old iPhone or Android device and turn it into a secure wallet. But
Yeah.
yeah, this to me is very cool. I'm impressed that they did this and they hired really good talent to create something beautiful. So we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Make sure we talk about VPNs here real quick because somebody was asking about that over the weekend. Because I saw that device and I started thinking, look, the thing is, I mean, I don't know if you can do it on that device or whatever, but you ideally want to buy the device at a place where you can pay cash. Okay, that's the
Yep.
first thing. And then you come back and throw your VPNs on. There's a couple of choices. Just Google. So, a really interesting discussion in there about Proton's VPN and how they're, it was the Russian de facto choice. Like 25% of them were on it, and they're getting attacked by, their real world, espionage attacks on them to try to take them down. So again, people track who has what. So, other VPNs, NordVPN is a good one. I've heard ExpressVPN mentioned, but
I
you
use
basically want
Ivacy.
Ivacy. Is that the Apple one?
No, it's just it's called Ivacy. It's just another brand of VPN, been around a long time. I have like a lifetime subscription to it. And
Yeah.
the guys at Cloudflare have that
Hmm.
1.1.1.1 VPN, which is more. It's kind of like a mid-level VPN with all these other capabilities that utilizes their network to obfuscate and keep your privacy intact. I don't think it's
Yeah.
quite as protective as like an Ivacy or a Proton or whatever, but I do think it's free, it's pretty secure, and it's built by Cloudflare.
Well,
So if you have nothing else, it's an easy, quick option.
yeah. Look, there's two issues that I seem to. One, okay, you're never going to be absolutely private, okay, and we're
Right.
not talking about like government. I mean, this government here level surveillance. I don't give a shit about that. That's not what I'm worried about. But the way you would look at that, let's say you're in Iran, okay, you would look at something like, I think the case for NordVPN from the US, there was a case where somebody was trying to get the logs. You kind of want to pick one that doesn't have logs.
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to pick one. I think the NordVPN, where they have servers all over the world, I think their HQ is technically Panama. So, there's not in any, other than the internet, they have no physical presence in, let's say the US location. So,
And Niblitz makes the
yes.
case that Nord you can buy with Monero, so you've got the privacy of the actual purchase.
Yeah, instead of just putting it on your credit card, let's say.
Yeah.
It's like you just already screwed the pooch at that point. Private internet access. I don't know that one.
I think he's talking about when a community builds their own internet access pipeline and you're not utilizing a major provider that's scanning your logs to sell you shit and that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure. I'm just assuming.
Yeah. Well, also,
That's
I think,
Eamon.
can't you do a static IP? Doesn't there's like an advantage to that as well?
I mean, not really in terms of privacy, but yeah, I mean, look, the other option, I will tell you this, I've done this in the past and I was thinking about this a couple of weeks ago. The other option is to spin up your own VPN server at Vulture or one of the other VPS servers, because you can spin up a pre-configured VPN that you control and have it at multiple locations in their infrastructure, Vultures or whomever's, any of the hosting companies, DigitalOcean, whatever. And now there is nobody to get it. You can turn off the logs. The only trace of it is that you had the server installed. It's very easy to delete if you ever wanted to. You completely know that it's controlled by you. So anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
Eamon says that private internet access is a VPN. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, what I know, I use Nord, all right, and some people don't like it. A few don't like it for a variety of reasons. But what I like is it has everything. It has, all the P2P stuff, all the dark webby stuff in there. You also can do double hop VPNs, obfuscated servers. So what I personally like is the double hop VPN in 2 jurisdictions outside of the US. And I pick the countries that have the most onerous privacy protection. Just Google it. You can find the answers. A couple of countries that you would be surprised at. And so I double hop through them. And then the end one has to be a place where you can access all the exchanges and things like that overseas for crypto and not be in a banned location.
Right.
So, you pick your one there. I mean, any European stuff works pretty well. But you basically then get layers of, you're trying to do your best. One, if you do obfuscated, then and you're running it through like your cell phone hotspot, the cell phone company, AT&T, whomever, they don't know you're using a VPN. Okay. If you use obfuscated servers through a Wi-Fi hookup, at your house or somewhere else, they don't even know that you're on a VPN. Because what the phone companies get pissed because they want to know what you're looking at so they can sell you more shit. They don't want to know what you're looking at because they care. You just don't want all that data out there, particularly when it's financial stuff and it's crypto stuff.
Absolutely.
So, that's what I like about it. And you can bounce around. And here's another one. So, like if you don't have the full, say, TV channel packages for some reason, you don't want to drop $70 at Fubo or someplace like that. You can basically hop from VPN to VPN and get all the access for free. Another one is, you want to buy plane tickets, go through a Thai server to the plane. Obviously you sweep out your browser cache and all that stuff, but, go to Thailand and buy, go to Expedia in Thailand or something. You will see noticeable difference in prices, particularly in like the premium cabins. Also Netflix. You know, certain shows I like, they air in London, UK a year earlier. I watch them there, you know, through a server. So there's all kinds of VPN applications. It's not just to hide from people, because you don't want all this data out there on you. You know, like another thing that I do is use one of those data broker removal services. You know, find a good one. You know, if you look at your VPN provider, they usually have a couple recommendations. And these people just go around. I mean, you're never going to get it all, but they're like constantly out there scrubbing all the main 400 data centers of any data on you. It's like, and they will do it for you, even if you're not in California or Europe, because they'll just do it as a courtesy because they don't want to get involved in saying no and then fighting a bunch of lawsuits. The companies just do it. And if they don't, these companies ramrod them with data removal requests with your power of attorney, you know, like every day. And they all have compliance departments. So eventually they just stop even taking any of your data. So, you know, just work on that. It's not hiding anything. It's just that, do you really want all these big tech companies to know everything about you? Like, I mean, they can tell when you're in the bathroom. They can tell when you're like making out with your wife. If you're wearing Fitbit stuff, let's say. You know, heart rate goes up at 3 a.m. Well, gee, what else are you doing? You know, it's like,
exactly.
So that's what you're protecting against. It's not about, you know, some conspiracy out there. What do you got? Some fans?
We got a visitor coming in to say hi real quick.
All right. What do we got? Hey, how are you? Hey, nice to see you.
She says, nice to see you, Karen. Niblet says, get an old MacBook Air, load up Ubuntu, set up Nord to auto connect, do nothing but crypto on it and only it. Yeah, absolutely. Wipe that notebook out though, and load up a fresh install of Mac app of the OS before you do it, Mac OS before you do it.
So like reformat the whole hard drive and then reinstall? Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and look, you can get a refurbished MacBook Air that's 10 years old that'll function beautifully for you and have as much performance as you need for that kind of shit for like $230. I mean, you can get and that'll last for fucking ever. I mean, the battery may be a little tired, but you can buy a new battery and install it pretty easily. So anyway, that's another great idea. I appreciate that, Niblets. Thanks.
Yeah, Joe, just keep that device contained from everything. Exactly.
Yep.
Go ahead, buddy.
Yep. Let's wrap it up. I got nothing else. You got anything else?
Nothing really right now. I think we covered everything. I mean, are we missing anything exciting, super exciting? No, I don't think so.
Niblet says Linux sings on an old Air. You know, I got 3 sitting in my closet. I've never put Linux on them. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give that a shot. So, Niblet says, China. Niblet wants to talk about China. You have any thoughts, Joe?
Oh gosh, you know, I don't know what's going on. I mean, last week it was all about staying locked down. Now it's like they're dumping the lockdown and some of the, you know, requirements. And, you know, but when you see those vaccination rates over there, I mean, if this thing rips, it's just going to rip through 500,000 to 1 million people. And they only have like 4 beds, hospital beds per 100,000 people. So if that goes bad, it's going to be friggin' disaster. As far as, you know, how does that tie into their economic recovery? Pretty dramatically. You know, when that's been off the board, you know, and you got like now, I think Foxconn is shut down, or the iPhone manufacturing plant is shut down.
Well, and Apple's moving, what have they said? They're moving 30 to 40% to India?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Vietnam, India, Mexico. I'd like to see a lot more of this in Mexico myself, just because it's close. Because I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a deglobalization in say a technology walls strategy out there. I mean, you see it in the battle over switches and things like that. I definitely sense that the U.S. in particular seems is shutting down access to tech for China. You know, look, there was a lot of free-flowing tech going into everything that they've used for a lot of other things. You know, I mean, if you were Chinese, you would probably do it too. But look, if you're not going to behave within the Western, say the post-World War II order, then why do you get access to all the freebies?
Yep.
You know, if you don't want to behave within the established order, then go develop it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a long history of technology innovation, you know, albeit several thousand years ago. But, you know, harness that and start doing something, or get with the program. And so to me, I think that I don't see the disruption coming much there because, again, high tech is here, low to mid tech is there. It can't get to high tech, existing
Well,
high tech, without getting through the barriers that Europe and the US are setting up. It just can't.
yeah.
So,
And I want to talk about one thing regarding all of this, and that's what Biden and Congress did, which is already having an impact. We talked about some of
yeah.
the new plant announcements, and that's the fucking chip bill. I mean, that's
Mhm.
the kind of thing that presidents do that they're not going to see the positive impact on their reelection or anything else. It's a long-term thing. It's going to make a dramatic difference for the US's economic security that we have incentives for people to build the chip manufacturing plants in this country. And countries are doing it. They're working. A lot of manufacturers are saying, "Okay, I'll open a plant here." It's going to make a huge difference economically for
Mhm.
us and national security wise for us. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
we
it's
need
big.
manufacturing jobs in the US. I think,
Yep.
look, you can go make it somewhere else cheaper and not have to follow any environmental regulations or pay into benefit plans or anything like that. And yeah, then the margins are a lot higher. But and those people do better because they have nothing up until that point, and now they start making money. But this society here is a very mosaic society. It's a combination of many different things, and not everybody is going to go get a college education, let alone do they want to. Some
Yep.
people like to be focused in on a task and do that task very well all the time. I mean, that's what accountants do. That's what detail dudes on spreadsheets do. It's the same as standing behind in a robot factory or something, and assembling something. Maybe you're putting code in, or maybe it's a hardware piece or something. But you get really good. All my relatives on my dad's side, they all worked in the auto factories. I mean, one uncle of mine, he put like every trunk on every Cadillac sold in the U.S. for like 12 years.
That's
But he
awesome.
liked it, and they made a lot of money back then, and benefits
Yeah.
and everything. It's not like today; it was a union job. But manufacturing is where that happened, and manufacturing next generation tech. So the quantum stuff, the life sciences, the robot stuff, all of that. I think it has to somehow be in a place where it's not going to go into authoritarian mode, because that's when that stuff can really be leveraged against the individual, and that's what we want to definitely avoid.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to talk next week. I've been taking a really deep dive in this Chat GPT AI stuff and some
Oh
other
yeah.
stuff. And I got to tell you, the acceleration of this shit is pretty profound, and it's going to have a massive impact on all of society. And I do want to have a talk about it next week when I don't have to worry about my connection. But it is truly astounding what can be done. Inside of a couple of hours of playing with it, I was able to replicate um, some core code for something that's important to a business I operate in um, without writing any code, with the AI writing it for me. And that, along with the impacts on writing, the impacts on idea generation, the impacts on business planning, on tedious tasks, it is going to have a dramatic effect. And I'm pretty convinced that we're at a pace right now where a year in internet time we're probably at about 1994 with AI, and a year in internet time is probably going to be happening in AI space in about a month to 2 months. That's how fast this shit is accelerating, and it's only going to get better the more the AI learns from itself. So just want everyone to
Yeah, it's scary
understand that
shit, man.
it's scary, but it's also the other thing to think about here. I tweeted that this morning. The other thing to really think about here is it's scary in that it will eliminate a lot of jobs, but what it will do is it will facilitate the advancement of humanity, because all of the human brains now doing shit that may have some value to the world, but not a ton. All of them are going to be freed up to do more creative things, more powerful things. And all of us are going to learn how to use the AI to do shit we never thought of before. And that is going to have a dramatic impact on advancing culture, advancing society, advancing, the human capabilities. So I'm actually pretty excited about it. Niblet says, so I can have my GPT Twitter bot reply to your GP Twitter bot, and then we can go sit on the beach and enjoy. Exactly. I've often made the comment that before I realized how far along we are, that we will reach a stage where the artificial intelligence marketing engine is marketing to the artificial intelligence buying engine at a corporation, and the sales guy at the artificial intelligence sales engine is going to be selling to the bots, right? And there's a tipping point we are going to hit where money, because of DeFi and AI, and the economic system, because of DeFi and AI, no longer have the level of necessity or the function that we have today. And it's a little bit painful to think about, but we're at a dramatic point in what's going to happen to the world, where there's going to be a huge shift in how we function, what we do, how we work, how we spend our time, how we buy and sell things. And it's going to be dramatic. I mean, I feel, look, there's probably going to be pain and suffering. There's going to be people starving. There's probably going to be battles over the tech. But I also believe that it will free us up for dramatic advancements. So anyway.
No, I see your point. I get that argument that, it's kind of like when it was like with .com, we said a lot of similar stuff there, but at first it's all clunky and hard to use, like crypto and wallets and things, and now bots, but eventually it moves into infrastructure like, indoor plumbing, electricity, say light on top of electricity, internet. Just think about all these things that at first were one thing, and then all of a sudden it's buried and we don't think about it. Like, who really thinks about, hey, when I flush that toilet, why does it do that? I mean, how does it go away? I mean, somebody had to build that shit. And at first it was outhouses, I guess. And, then it was something else. Well, AI is going to run in a way that, to me, it's maybe the normal, like, worrying or angst every day. It's like the worrying, what do I have to fucking do? Oh shit, I forgot about that. All that stuff's going to automatically be done. Exactly. You're going to like chat with someone, or excuse me, it's going to chat with someone and set up appointments for you that are pre-screened, and then you're going to have calls with people, and it's going to like turn connect the call and put the exchange right in front of you wherever you are, so you don't miss appointments and things. Because we're so mobile. It's going to do all those things. The question is, you're going to have to permission it. So to do it, and when you permission it, I don't want to use the obvious trite metaphor here, but Skynet doesn't sound too far behind.
It doesn't. But here's the really interesting realization I had this week, is the abstraction. Right. When I started using ChatGPT to generate code over the last week, I was doing very specific things. I was telling it the language I wanted. I was telling it the prompts I wanted. I was telling it how to do specific things. Right. All of a sudden, I realized I didn't have to tell it all that. I just had to tell it the problem I wanted to solve, and maybe the platform I wanted it to solve it on. And then it figured out the best way to implement it. And that's the kind of shit that when you start abstracting at that level, it gets scary, but it also gets very powerful, because then the AI starts giving you things you didn't even know you needed yet, right? And it's actually, I mean, imagine this. The AI that you've given permission to is actually clearing the path for you to everything, to everything that you are going to need without you knowing you needed it. And that's a level of advancement that's amazing. Niblet says, hopefully it brings us closer again, because physical meeting is the only way to be sure the counterparty is a real person. I welcome actual handshakes again. Shizzy says, I had it make me a Taylor Swift song about my toilet. That's awesome, Shizzy. That's great. All right, Joe.
I love that. Yeah, let's wrap up. But I love that thing you just said, how, when you look at like the way let's say inventory management in manufacturing work. There was this big trend, I want to say maybe 80s, but it was just in time, JIT inventory. And the whole idea was that, just put it in the example of, say, the Walmart. Before all of this, everybody had big warehouses of stuff and then shipped it to stores. Stores had big warehouses in the back where they stored, 50 of that crib or whatever. Well, just-in-time inventory said, we want to figure out through the data, just carry just enough so everybody who wants one is taking kind of the last one off the shelf. And then another one shows up, mathematically, probability-wise, just when the next person's going to want one. Well, it's doing this in ideas now and in content. And that's, so now it's, think of the production process of hard goods. Now we're talking about a production process of services, okay? Ideas, advice, whatever. Now the AI is going to front load the production process for services products in a way that just-in-time inventory did, or the idea economy, just the way that just-in-time did for the fixed goods economy, which means more market efficiency, better ideas coming up into fruition faster, bad ideas getting triaged out more quickly. The question is, does it still find the jewels, or is it just kind of find the ones in the middle that are the least, challenging, because the execution will be easier. So lots of great stuff, man. I don't want to keep you. I know you got a lot to do. But
yeah,
awesome.
And listen, we'll probably have, I'm going to be, we'll see how the connection is tomorrow. I won't be in the same spot with the same level of access, so we'll see what happens.
Well, this has been great, dude. This has been great.
Today was good, but I won't have this tomorrow, so it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Thank you, Shizzy. Oh, and Shizzy posted his chorus from the song he had Chat GPT create. Niblets asks, do you use a GPT AI that specializes in writing code? I use the primary Playground interface at OpenAI, and then I also use the Codex interface. But I have found that the Playground interface works just as well using the primary engine to generate the code, and I don't need to go into the Codex interface. The Codex interface is more for fine-tuning existing code. I'm also discovered more things about the interface over the last few days that make it interesting as well. Anyway, thank you, Shizzy. Thank you, Niblets. Thank you, Eamon, Sean. Not Sean. Chuck. We did not have Chuck. We had Chuck. We had Euphoric. And that's everybody. Thanks for helping out today. Appreciate your comments. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. If you're watching there right now, just click it. Go ahead and click it. If you haven't subscribed yet, click that and click the little bell so you get alerted when a new episode comes out. We'll see you tomorrow, barring any problems with connection. Otherwise, it'll just be Joe pontificating all day.
I'll talk about China tomorrow. I'll talk about China.
That's good. Joe, appreciate it. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. Say goodbye, Joe.
Wao Yao Piju. Bye, everyone. That means